Gunfire cracked through the humid air, shattering the evening's fragile peace. Ryan pressed himself into the dense underbrush, his heart pounding in his ears. His friends, fellow volunteers, screamed as bullets tore into them. He forced himself to stay still, to breathe as silently as possible, as the rebels stormed through the camp, their rifles spitting death. One of them, a bearded man with a red bandana, kicked over a supply crate, scanning the area. Ryan held his breath. The man's dark eyes swept past his hiding spot, then moved on. More shots rang out, then silence. Only the crackling of burning tents and the distant cries of the wounded remained. He wanted to move, to check if anyone was still alive, but fear rooted him to the earth. He was alone. Minutes dragged into eternity. The rebels rummaged through supplies, stealing food, water, and medical kits. He saw their leader, a tall man with a jagged scar across his forehead, bark orders. Ryan watched helplessly as they dragged bodies into a pile, some still twitching. Then, with a single nod from the leader, they doused them in gasoline. Flames erupted, sending a sickening stench into the air. Ryan swallowed his panic. He had to leave before they searched the jungle. Keeping low, he crawled away, his every movement careful. When he was far enough, he broke into a silent sprint, pushing through the undergrowth as the screams of burning bodies haunted his mind. The jungle was thick, suffocating, every rustling leaf a potential threat. Ryan's legs ached, but he pushed forward, driven by sheer survival instinct. His shirt clung to his back, soaked in sweat. He needed water, food, anything. The last time he had eaten was before the attack, and his body was beginning to feel the strain. Then, through the thick foliage, he saw it. A village. Huts with thatched roofs stood in eerie silence. By the riverbank, boats bobbed gently against the current. Smoke still curled from chimneys, but there were no people. A bad feeling settled in his gut. Carefully, he approached the village. The silence was unnatural. A place like this should have the sounds of life, chatter, laughter, animals. But it was empty. Something was very wrong. He peered into one of the boats. Supplies were still inside, untouched. Whoever left did so in a hurry. He stepped inside one of the cabins and the stench hit him like a fist. He gagged, covering his nose. The air was thick, rotten. As his eyes adjusted to the dimness, his stomach twisted. Bodies. Dozens of them piled against the wall, their eyes frozen in terror. Blood stained the wooden floor, drying into dark pools. He stumbled back, bile rising in his throat. His chest heaved. Whoever did this had left in a hurry, but they could return at any moment. Panic gripped him. He needed to get out before he met the same fate. A sound snapped him back to reality, a distant rumble. His blood ran cold. Engines. A distant rumble sent a chill down Ryan's spine. Engines. He darted into a hut, crouching low. The sound grew louder. Trucks, maybe motorcycles. The rebels. They arrived in a storm of dust and shouts, fanning out across the village with their rifles raised. Ryan held his breath as boots thudded past the hut. Then, crash. The door splintered open. A hand yanked him up by the collar. He fought, but a rifle butt slammed into his stomach, knocking the air from his lungs. Hands bound his wrists as laughter erupted around him. "Well, well," a voice sneered in accented English. "Look what we have here." Pain lanced through his ribs as they threw him into the truck. The world blurred as the vehicle roared to life, carrying him deeper into hell. Ryan woke to the scent of damp earth and sweat. He was in a cage, thick bamboo bars held together with rope. Around him, others were imprisoned too. Men, women, their faces hollow with fear and exhaustion. The village was alive with movement. Rebels moved between huts, some sharpening machetes, others laughing over stolen goods. At the center, a wooden post stood ominously. Then came the screams. A captured fugitive, barely more than a boy, was dragged into the square. They tied him to the post, and a rebel with a scar down his cheek raised a thick stick. The first blow sent the boy's head snapping forward. The second split the skin on his back. Ryan turned away, bile burning his throat. Escape was no longer an option. It was a necessity, the jungle whispered in the night. The rebels, drunk on stolen liquor, snored in their hammocks. Ryan worked at the knots on his cage. His fingers were raw, but finally, the rope gave way. He slipped out, crawling past the guards, past the sleeping rebels. Then he ran. Branches tore at his skin, but he didn't stop. The jungle was endless, dark. Then a low growl. His heart stopped. A pair of glowing eyes appeared between the trees. A tiger. Ryan froze as the beast stalked closer, muscles rippling beneath striped fur. His breath came in short gasps. Then, as if by some miracle, a distant gunshot echoed through the night. The tiger flinched, then vanished into the darkness. Ryan didn't wait. He ran until he saw it, a radio tower standing like a beacon of hope. Climbing inside, he found the controls. His hands shook as he sent a distress signal. His voice cracked. "Please, I need help." The first sign of hope was the thumping of helicopter blades. Relief surged through Ryan, but so did dread. The rebels had heard it too. Gunfire erupted as the rebels swarmed the tower, firing into the sky. Soldiers in fatigues rappelled down ropes, weapons blazing. The firefight was chaos, explosions, screams, the crack of rifles. Ryan ducked as bullets whizzed past. Then a hand grabbed him. A soldier, face smeared with dirt. "We've got you! Move!" They sprinted to the helicopter as the battle raged. Ryan stumbled inside as the aircraft lifted off. Below, the rebels fell one by one. The military had won. Ryan collapsed against the cold metal floor. He was safe. As the jungle faded into the horizon, he closed his eyes. The nightmare was over. For now,